Hey, Falcons fans! Big news is buzzing on the internet, and we need to talk about what's next for the Atlanta Falcons. But first, hit that like button and subscribe. You don't want to miss the latest updates, inside scoops, and everything Falcons related. Now, let's get into the big story shaking up the NFL. Myles Garrett has officially asked for a trade from the Cleveland Browns, and guess what? The Falcons are already being talked about as a possible new home for him. Just picture Myles Garrett in black and red. That kind of move could change everything and take this team to a whole new level. Let's be real, Falcons fans. Our pass rush has struggled for years. Last season, we were ranked 31st in total sacks, with just 31 sacks all year. That's near the bottom of the league. And this isn't a one-time problem. Since 2017, we haven't finished higher than 20th in sacks. Coincidentally, 2017 was also the last time we had a winning season and made the playoffs. That's why the idea of bringing in Myles Garrett is so exciting. This guy is a beast on the defensive line. Since his rookie year in 2017, he's had at least 12 sacks every season. Oh, and did I mention? He was named the 2023 NFL Defensive Player of the Year. Simply put, he's a game changer. Myles Garrett is the kind of player who can completely disrupt an opposing offense all by himself. And according to ESPN insider Dan Graziano, the Falcons are one of 4 teams that make sense as a trade destination for him, along with the Eagles, Lions, and Commanders. So why is Atlanta a great fit? It starts with money. Since we have Michael Penix Jr. on a rookie contract, we can afford to spend big on other positions. Bringing in a superstar like Garrett could speed up our journey to becoming a serious playoff contender. Of course, there are challenges. The first hurdle? Convincing the Browns to trade their best defender. Cleveland's front office has already said they're not looking to make a deal. But now that Garrett himself wants out, teams will start making offers. Then comes the big question. What would it take to get him? The starting price would probably be 2 first-round picks, and that's where things get interesting. One reason the Falcons drafted Michael Penix Jr. at number 8 last year was because they didn't expect to pick in the top 10 again anytime soon. This year, we have the number 15 pick, and our offense looks strong enough to be a top 10 unit in 2025. So here's the big question for you. Falcons fans, would you trade the number 1 pick? 15 pick this year for Myles Garrett? Would you trade this year's number 1? 15 pick and a late first-rounder in 2026 for Myles Garrett? It's a big decision. Garrett is under contract through 2026, but if the Falcons trade for him, they'd likely extend his deal to lower his cap hits, which are currently $19.8 million in 2025 and $25 million in 2026. He's only 29 years old and should stay dominant for at least 4 more seasons. If Atlanta pulls this off, 10-7 should be the bare minimum for this team. Just look at the Rams. They finished 10-7 and now have the number 1 seed. 26th pick in the draft. That could easily be us if we make the right moves. But this isn't just about draft picks. The Falcons also need to create cap space, which means making some tough decisions on veteran contracts. Right now, we're $1 million over the projected salary cap, so some moves need to happen no matter what. And if we're going to clear space, why not do it for a player like Myles Garrett? Another challenge? Would Garrett even want to come to Atlanta? In his trade request, he made it clear. He wants to compete for a Super Bowl. Are the Falcons at that level yet? That's a tough question. We haven't made the playoffs since 2017, but there's no doubt the team is moving in the right direction. The Falcons still have to prove it on the field, but adding Myles Garrett could speed things up in a big way. He's the kind of player who makes everyone around him better. Opposing offenses would have to focus their game plan on stopping him, which would open up opportunities for our other defenders to make big plays. And let's not forget, Garrett's impact wouldn't just be on the field. Having a veteran leader like him in the locker room would be priceless, especially for our young defensive players. His experience and work ethic could take this defense to another level. So, what do you think, Falcons fans? Is Myles Garrett worth 2 first-round picks and some tough cap decisions? Should Atlanta go all in to bring him here? Or should we stick to building through the draft and free agency? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Now, let's talk about the latest Falcons drama. Just when we thought things had settled, head coach Raheem Morris is back in the spotlight, along with quarterback Kirk Cousins. During Super Bowl week, Cousins made a shocking revelation. He had been playing with an injury toward the end of the 2024 season. This news sent shockwaves through the Falcons fan base. Seriously, why are we just hearing about this now? This bombshell has raised a lot of questions, not just about Cousins, but about the team as a whole. But this situation isn't just about Kirk Cousins. It also raises big questions about the coaching staff and medical team. Did they know about the injury and decide to keep quiet? Or were they completely unaware? Either way, it's not a good look for anyone involved. And let's be honest, this doesn't change the fact that Raheem Morris stuck with Cousins even when he was clearly struggling on the field. A lot of fans were already frustrated that Morris waited until the season was basically over before switching quarterbacks. But if Cousins was injured, that decision looks even worse in hindsight. The team had chances to make a playoff push, and those chances were wasted. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Some people think Cousins might be exaggerating his injury to force a release or generate trade interest. I'm not saying that's definitely the case, but the timing is a little suspicious. If the injury was such a big deal, why didn't he say anything sooner? Why wait until now? This whole situation puts the Falcons in a tough spot. On one hand, Cousins' honesty, or lack of it, has created a mess. On the other hand, the team has some big decisions to make. But here's the craziest part. Cutting Cousins doesn't make financial sense. Keeping him as a backup is actually cheaper than releasing him. In fact, there's a $25 million difference between keeping him on the bench and cutting him loose. So, what does this mean for the Falcons' offseason? Now, let's talk strategy. First off, the Falcons don't owe Kirk Cousins anything. They don't need to rush to find him a new team. If a trade offer comes along that makes sense, great. If not, keeping him as a backup is actually cheaper than cutting him and taking a dead cap hit. Now, let's look at what this means for Raheem Morris. The timing of Cousins' injury reveal makes the coaching staff look questionable at best. But regardless of whether they knew about it or not, Morris sticking with Cousins for so long was a mistake. Fans deserve better decision-making, and this situation only proves that accountability is needed from the coaching staff. And what about Cousins himself? His decision to stay quiet about the injury until now comes across as selfish. It's hard not to see this as a move to protect his own interests rather than the team's. If he had been honest about his condition earlier, things could have been different. At the very least, the team and the fans would have understood what was going wrong. As frustrating as this whole situation is, it does give the Falcons some clarity. Now, they can enter the offseason with a clear understanding of where Cousins stands, and they shouldn't feel obligated to do him any favors. This is a business, and the Falcons need to make decisions that are best for the team. So, Falcons fans, what do you think? Should the team keep Cousins as a backup or try to trade him? And how do you feel about Raheem Morris's handling of the situation? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more exclusive Falcons content. Your support helps us bring you the latest news and insights. Go Falcons! Football on fire.